My beloved child, what you're about to hear was meant only for your soul. 3 weeks ago, the heavens grew still. The angels gathered in silence. And Archangel Michael stepped forward holding something fragile, something rare, something golden, your name. Not your face. Not your flaws. Not your past. Your name. The one heaven knows. The one your soul whispers in dreams. And in that sacred moment, a message was written, not with ink, but with divine breath. It wasn't written for your mind. It was written for your heart. Because heaven knew a day would come when your soul would need to be reminded not just of who you are, but of how deeply you are seen, carried, and chosen. That day is now. And this message has waited for this exact moment to find you. Michael's voice is quiet, but it is not weak. It trembles not with fear, but with reverence. He says, "Beloved, you have no idea how long heaven has been trying to reach you. Not to warn you. Not to correct you. But to remind you that the ache in your chest, the pull in your spirit, the tears that visit you for no reason, those are not accidents. They are the signs that something sacred is trying to rise in you. The message you're hearing now was written for the version of you that has kept going even with a broken heart. For the version of you that smiles through the silence, that loves without loudness, that carries others even when no one knows what you're carrying. You didn't find this by chance. Your spirit was guided here. Because 3 weeks ago, heaven saw what was coming, the weight, the confusion, the quiet heartbreak that no one else noticed. And Michael was given permission to prepare your heart with this message. Because something is shifting in your life, and God wanted you to have the strength to stand in it. You have not been forgotten. You are not behind. Your life is not late. You are exactly where heaven needs you to be. Not because the path was easy, but because your heart stayed soft when everything tried to harden it. Heaven doesn't work on clocks. It works on alignment. And the reason this message is reaching you now is because you are finally ready to hear it. Not just with your ears, but with your chest. With your breath. With your memory. You've been searching for something that can't be explained, peace, clarity, connection. And now Michael is saying, stop searching. It's already here. Everything you've been waiting for is on the other side of remembering who you are. Not what the world told you. Not what the pain tried to shape. But the original you. The soul that chose love, that forgave first, that never stopped believing even when belief cost you everything. This message will break you, not to destroy you, but to open you. Because there are parts of you that have been locked behind survival. Parts of you that stopped blooming because life asked you to be strong when you just needed to rest. And now Michael is here to say, you don't have to carry that alone anymore. You don't have to hold your breath in your own life. Heaven is shifting things for you. And the door that has been shut, not just in the world, but in your spirit, is opening now. And it will be gone in 35 seconds. Not because God is in a rush, but because the window is sacred. What is being whispered to you right now is for your heart alone. You are not here by accident. You are not hearing this because of a scroll, a tap, a screen. You are here because heaven moved to meet you. And if you feel your chest aching, your eyes softening, your breath slowing, it's not just emotion. It's recognition. Your soul remembers this voice. Your heart remembers this feeling. And now the message is arriving on time. Heaven doesn't speak in noise, it speaks in alignment, and right now, everything inside you is lining up with what was spoken 3 weeks ago in the unseen. There are moments in life when your soul moves ahead of your body, when your heart receives what your mind is still too cautious to believe. And that's what's happening here. You've been aching without knowing why, sensing a shift but unable to name it. That's because your name was called in a divine space. And Archangel Michael was there, holding the scroll sealed with your breakthrough, your clarity, your confirmation. He did not beg for it to be written. He declared it on your behalf. Because heaven saw the parts of your story no one else could see. The battles that happened behind your eyes. The nights where your faith was quiet but still alive. And heaven responded, not with delay, but with design. This message is not new. It was planted in your path long before your pain reached its peak. It waited for you to slow down, to pause, to be still enough to feel it rise in your spirit. And now that moment is here. It's not a coincidence. It's a divine interruption. A sacred confirmation that the very thing you thought you lost is already on its way back, restored, renewed, realigned. The tears you cried did not fall to the ground unnoticed. The questions you whispered in the dark were not thrown into silence. They were caught, collected, remembered. And now they are being answered, not with explanations, but with revelation. Michael wants you to stop second-guessing the feeling in your chest right now. That heaviness isn't sadness. It's unlocking. That trembling isn't weakness. It's awakening. You are not breaking down, you are breaking open. This is what it feels like when the heart finally catches up with what the spirit already knows. This is what it feels like when grace floods every part of you that felt forgotten. This is what it feels like when heaven hands you back what life tried to take. The peace you're beginning to feel? That's not fantasy. That's the presence of the angelic realm gently reminding your soul that you were always part of the plan. You've carried so much in silence, heaviness you never named out loud. But now heaven is lifting it off of you. Not because you earned it, but because it's time. Time to receive. Time to rest. Time to stop running in circles looking for the version of you who had it all figured out. Because what heaven loves most about you is not your perfection, but your presence. Your honesty. The way you keep showing up. The way you carry light even when you feel lost. And now the light is returning. Not just around you, but inside you. Michael whispers this over you now: you do not have to carry the weight of unanswered questions any longer. What is meant for you is not lost. What was delayed is not denied. And what heaven wrote for you cannot be erased by human hands. You are walking into the part of your story that makes sense of everything you thought was wasted. Your healing is not a future moment. It's happening now. Your alignment is not a someday event, it's already begun. The love you've been searching for is not out there, it's being drawn in by who you've become. And you didn't become this by accident. You became this through every moment of waiting, every choice to trust again, every prayer whispered when your strength was running thin. This message was written for that version of you. The one who kept going even with doubt in your hands. The one who kept loving even when your own heart was aching. The one who kept believing even when everything in the world told you to stop. There are some messages that don't arrive in words but in timing, and this is one of them. This isn't just a collection of phrases placed in front of your eyes. This is your soul being called forward, gently, divinely, as if the universe itself had been waiting for the right second for you to receive what has already been written. Archangel Michael does not weep often, but when he does, it is because a child of light is finally remembering who they are. And beloved, this is your moment of remembrance. 3 weeks ago, when heaven gathered and the scrolls were opened, your name was whispered in fire, not for punishment, not for warning, but for release. For grace. For a soft unraveling of the parts of you that have felt forgotten by the world but never by God. You have been walking through a season that others couldn't see. Carrying the weight of invisible things, trying to explain feelings that have no shape. You thought maybe you were overthinking, maybe you were just tired. But you weren't wrong to feel the ache in your chest. That ache was heaven moving you into position. You weren't weak for feeling lost, you were being redirected. And now Michael is standing before you, scroll in hand, eyes full of holy light, whispering gently, nothing is wrong with you. What you are feeling is the cracking of a shell around your soul. You are not breaking apart. You are breaking open. The reason this message is coming now is because your heart has reached the frequency of reception. You are no longer running from yourself. You are no longer trying to fit into rooms that feel too small. The shedding of old identities, the loss of people who couldn't see you, the quiet mourning of things that ended without closure, all of it has been part of your awakening. Not to make you hard, but to make you honest. Not to make you tough, but to make you tender in a world that forgot the strength of softness. And now heaven is responding to that tender place within you. Not with demands, but with destiny. There are divine things being sent to you now. Not because of performance, but because of alignment. The timing of heaven is not accidental. And when Michael placed this message on your path, it was because the scroll he held began to glow. Your soul had reached the moment where it could finally say, I'm ready now. Not to fight, but to receive. Not to chase, but to be met. You don't have to earn what's coming next. You just have to remember who you are while it arrives. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not overlooked. You are standing inside the prophecy that was spoken before your ancestors had names. You are the continuation of a healing that your family lineage has prayed for across generations. You are the restoration your bloodline dreamed of. You are the mercy your past self hoped someone would give. And you are the chosen one for this path, not because you are perfect, but because you said yes when others gave up. And heaven sees that. Heaven remembers that. Michael now places his hand over your spirit and says, what's coming is not just a blessing, it is a remembering. A full return. A divine restoration of all the pieces you thought were lost. And nothing can stop it. Not timing. Not fear. Not even your own doubt. You were created for this exact season. And everything is aligning because you finally opened, not the screen, but your soul. You've always felt things deeper than most. Long before words were spoken, you sensed the energy shift. Long before people left, you saw the silence in their eyes. You've never needed loud signs to know the truth. Your soul has always been a quiet receiver of heaven's whispers. And that's why this moment is sacred. Because Archangel Michael didn't just deliver this message to you, he aligned it with the deepest part of you that has been waiting in silence, not for answers, but for remembrance. This message was written when the weight became too heavy. It was written when your heart asked the universe, "Am I seen? Will it ever make sense?" And the response from heaven was not empty. It was written. It was sealed. It was timed. And now it has arrived. Michael doesn't speak in riddles. He speaks in confirmation. He doesn't show up to confuse you. He shows up to remind you that your soul has never been misplaced. Yes, you've felt forgotten. Yes, you've walked through valleys where your voice felt small. But no valley has erased your value. No silence has deleted your destiny. And the very things you thought delayed you were the things building your sensitivity to God's timing. You weren't being punished, you were being preserved. Because what you're stepping into now requires a heart that isn't just open, but aware. A heart that doesn't beg for signs, but recognizes alignment when it arrives. And beloved, this is alignment. 3 weeks ago, when this message was breathed into the spirit realm, your name was not written as a maybe. It was carved into divine movement. That's why your soul is feeling this so deeply. Because this isn't just a moment. This is a memory your spirit already holds. A memory of a promise made in silence. A memory of healing whispered over you before the pain even came. You are not being introduced to a new truth. You are being brought back to one that has always been yours. Heaven has kept record, not of your perfection, but of your perseverance. You stayed when others left. You forgave without apology. You let go of things you loved because your peace was more sacred than your comfort. And now that surrender is returning, not as emptiness, but as overflow. You're not walking into random favor. You're walking into the harvest of your private obedience. And Archangel Michael says, you will no longer have to explain your heart to be understood. You will no longer have to fight for a place that was already written with your name on it. The things that are arriving were not given to you, they were returning to you. Heaven never forgot what it spoke over your life. You did not miss your moment. You are not too late. The delay was divine. Because if this had come sooner, you would have tried to hold it with survival hands. But now? Now your hands are ready to receive without holding too tightly. You've learned that love is not proven in urgency, but in presence. You've learned that peace is not found in perfection, but in stillness. You've learned that God does not shout, He whispers into hearts that are finally quiet enough to listen. And now Michael leans in close and speaks these words, soft but unshakable, "Beloved, it's not just coming. It's already begun. Let it break you open. Let it wash over the places you tried to keep strong. Let this be the moment where you finally stop fighting and start receiving. You don't have to do anything grand. You don't have to prove anything to be seen. You are already held. Already loved. Already approved. This message will disappear from your screen, but not from your soul. Because once heaven speaks, your heart never forgets the sound. You've been strong for so long that even your silence has learned how to hold itself together. You've comforted others when your own heart was quietly unraveling. You've smiled through seasons that emptied you. And even now, there is a part of you that still wonders, did anyone see me? Did heaven notice how I kept walking when it felt like I had nothing left to stand on? The answer has been waiting for you to slow down long enough to hear it. Archangel Michael did not arrive with loud commands or dramatic signs. He came carrying a soft light, the kind that reaches not your ears, but the center of your being. Because this message, the one that was written 3 weeks ago, was never meant to be loud. It was meant to be undeniable. This is not a moment of motivation. It is a moment of remembrance. You are not being told to become anything new. You are being reminded of who you already are beneath all the layers you wore just to survive. The love you've given freely. The loyalty you offered without question. The forgiveness you extended to people who didn't even ask. Heaven took none of that lightly. And while the world may have overlooked the quiet battles you fought, Michael recorded every one of them. Not as a checklist of suffering, but as evidence of strength. The type of strength that doesn't need to shout to be heard. The type of love that doesn't need applause to remain consistent. You have already earned nothing, but you are owed everything heaven has spoken. Because what's coming next is not a reward for performance. It is the result of positioning. You didn't just endure. You remained open. And openness is the language of the divine. That's why you're here. That's why your heart feels like it's about to burst. Not from pain, but from recognition. Because your spirit knows this moment was always meant to happen. The message didn't just arrive today. It was assigned. And you've finally reached the moment where your soul could receive what was sealed in heaven's timing. You've been asking God to send a sign. But heaven doesn't always send signs, it sends silence first. So your faith can hear clearer than your fear. The silence wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Because the you who receives this message now is not the same you who would have received it 3 weeks ago. You've shed something since then. Maybe it was an illusion. Maybe it was a belief that you weren't worthy of the very thing you were praying for. Whatever it was, it fell. And heaven responded. Not with noise. With a whisper that shook eternity and said, now. Deliver it to her. She is ready. Michael places his hand over your heart, not to heal it, but to reveal what's already been mended without you even realizing it. He says, beloved, you've already crossed over into the beginning. That ache in your chest. It's not fear. It's release. Let it happen. Let it break you open. Let the tears come. Let the weight fall. You are not being emptied, you are being cleared. So that what's meant for you doesn't have to fight for space you've been giving away to what no longer deserves you. You are not crazy for feeling what others don't. You are not weak for needing confirmation after being strong for so long. This message is not late. It is right on divine time. And the reason you feel every word so deeply is because your spirit wrote it with heaven the day you decided not to give up. The day you whispered, "I can't take one more heartbreak," and still kept your heart soft. The day you broke down but didn't break apart. The day you chose peace over revenge. That's when this message was born. Not just for your ears, but for your becoming. The soul doesn't forget what heaven writes. That's why when this message found you, you didn't just read it, you felt it. Not on the surface, but in the deep inner places that have been quiet for too long. The ache in your chest wasn't random. It was recognition. The warmth behind your eyes wasn't weakness. It was alignment. What was spoken over your name 3 weeks ago was never erased, never delayed, it was protected. Kept in a sacred place until your spirit was ready to carry it, not with fear, but with faith. And now, beloved, the scroll is open. Not above you. Within you. You are not just reading this, you are living it. The shift has already begun. You may have thought you missed something. Maybe a decision, an opportunity, a moment where things should have gone differently. But heaven is not fragile. What belongs to you cannot be stolen by timing. It cannot be ruined by mistakes. It cannot be cancelled by someone else's delay. Archangel Michael speaks clearly now, not to your ears, but directly to your soul. There is nothing lost that heaven cannot return. There is no door closed that cannot be reopened in glory. You are not here to recover. You are here to remember. The version of you that's rising now is not being reborn, she's being revealed. That's why everything feels so heavy and holy at the same time. The quiet battles you've survived, the emotional detours you navigated alone, the way you kept praying when your voice trembled, none of it was for nothing. This message is not random comfort. It is strategic release. You are being positioned for something that cannot be rushed and cannot be faked. What's coming next isn't just an answer, it's restoration of time, of truth, of tenderness. You are not stepping into a new season. You're stepping into the fulfilled version of one that tried to break you. And it didn't. You're still here. And that's why heaven is moving now. Michael sees it all. The moments you wanted to close your heart. The times you felt like being kind was costing too much. The nights you cried quietly and then wiped your face like nothing happened. The way you still chose love. Still chose grace. Still chose to rise. And for that, this message was written. It's not a motivational phrase. It's a divine key. And it's unlocking doors that don't just open opportunities, they open healing. Deep healing. The kind that shifts your posture before anything in your world changes. Because the breakthrough is not happening to you. It's happening through you. Heaven didn't wait for your strength. It waited for your softness. Because softness is strength when it survives a storm. And your softness has survived so many. The words you're reading now aren't reaching you for the first time. They're returning to you. Your soul requested them in a moment of surrender. A moment you thought heaven forgot. But Michael was there. And he didn't just hear your whisper. He held it. And now he's handing it back to you, transformed into direction, into light, into favor. No more begging for signs. You are the sign. No more asking if the delay means denial. It doesn't. The delay meant that what's coming had to meet you when you could hold it with open hands instead of clenched fists. You don't need to figure everything out. You just need to breathe. Stay soft. Stay open. Stay here. Heaven isn't asking you to perform. It's asking you to receive. You are no longer in the hallway. You are already stepping through the door. The only thing that's leaving now is the version of you that thought she had to beg for what was already written. Sometimes what changes your life doesn't come in the form of a loud event, a dramatic shift, or even a miracle others can see. Sometimes, what changes everything is a whisper from heaven at just the right time. That whisper is what you're hearing now, not with your ears, but with your heart. Archangel Michael has not come to announce something new. He has come to deliver what your soul has been trying to hold on to in silence. This message was prepared before you even asked for it, written not on pages, but within the breath of your spirit. And now that you are still enough to receive it, Michael is standing here, quietly placing the final line of heaven's promise into your hands. There are seasons when nothing makes sense. When the right things feel far. When your strength feels small. When you wonder how long you can keep showing up with love when so little returns. And yet, you do. You keep giving. You keep showing up with softness, even when your own heart is running on empty. You carry peace for others when you don't know where to find your own. And heaven has watched all of it. Not to test you, but to prove to the world that this is what real strength looks like. That strength is not just surviving pain, it's holding grace while healing. It's being light even when you're still searching for it yourself. Michael speaks now, not loudly, but with holy weight. Beloved, nothing you've walked through has gone unnoticed. The decisions you've made in silence. The times you chose peace. When you had every right to retaliate. The people you let go of not out of anger, but alignment. These were not small acts. These were sacred shifts. And heaven responded to each one. This is why things are now beginning to move. Because what you thought was unnoticed was actually being recorded by angels who didn't need your performance, they honored your posture. You were never invisible to God. And you're not starting over. You're returning. Returning to the path your spirit agreed to before you were born. Returning to the love that doesn't ask you to shrink. Returning to the vision that never left your heart, even when your circumstances try to convince you otherwise. The path ahead is not new, it's holy. It is lined with the prayers you thought went unheard, the tears you wiped without anyone knowing, and the pieces of yourself you handed over in love even when they were not held with care. But now comes the restoration. And it will not be loud. It will be steady. It will not ask for permission, it will arrive in divine timing, just like this message did. And it will not break you, it will build you. Because you are not fragile. You are not broken. You are the living evidence that resilience can look like quiet peace. That beauty can rise from delay. That sacredness can survive sorrow. You are not the girl who waited for love to come. You are the woman who became love in the absence of it. And Michael knows you feel it. The release. The alignment. The peace that doesn't come from knowing how everything will work out, but knowing that heaven has already declared it will. You're not walking into the unknown. You're walking into what was known by heaven long before this moment. And it will be holy not because it's perfect, but because you are finally ready to receive it without fear. So don't rush the next step. Don't force what's already unfolding. You don't need to fight for what's flowing. Just breathe. Stay open. Stay soft. Let the message live in you, long after these words are gone. Let the scroll remain in your heart, because what was spoken over you will never disappear. It is written. And what is written in heaven can never be undone. Now that you've walked through every word, now that your soul has leaned into every whisper heaven placed before you, now that the silence has turned into soft understanding, this is where it all begins. Not in the noise, not in the chaos, not in trying to figure it all out, but in the stillness that now lives inside your chest. Archangel Michael does not weep because of sorrow. He weeps because he sees the moment your spirit finally receives what heaven has been trying to give you all along: truth without fear, love without loss, identity without condition. And right here, in this exact breath, you are standing inside the answer to a prayer your voice never even spoke out loud. You are not waiting for something to arrive. It's already here. It's you. You are what was being prepared. You never needed more strength, you needed to remember how sacred your softness is. You never needed to be louder, you needed to trust that your silence was not weakness but wisdom. And now that you've walked through every layer, now that your heart has broken open instead of breaking down, you are free in a way that no person, no situation, no fear can reverse. You've outgrown who you used to be, not by force, but by faith. And that's why the divine is moving now. That's why timing is shifting. That's why the things you let go of are suddenly being replaced with things that feel like they were built just for you. Because they were. Heaven never forgot what it wrote for you. You just had to become the version of you who could carry it with open hands instead of closed fists. Michael has watched every chapter of your journey. Not with pity, but with reverence. He saw you show kindness when your own heart was empty. He saw you choose peace when you were surrounded by people addicted to conflict. He saw you release people you loved without needing them to explain their absence. And heaven took note. You were never invisible. You were sacred. And every ounce of healing that took years to earn in silence is now becoming the atmosphere you walk in. You are no longer in survival. You are in arrival. This isn't your preparation season anymore. This is your fulfillment season. And you don't need the world to understand it. This glow isn't for display. It's for alignment. It's for elevation. It's for the version of you that no longer has to explain why she needs peace, why she chooses softness, why she lets go instead of fighting for places that no longer see her. That version of you is now crowned with a grace no one can take. And what's next won't be loud. It will be unmistakably right. Right energy. Right timing. Right relationships. Right provision. Not rushed. Not forced. Just heaven, finally meeting you where your faith stood when nothing made sense. Michael leaves this message on your path, not to push you forward, but to remind you, you are already there. The delay was never denial. The silence was never absence. The closed doors weren't rejection, they were protection. And the reason you're feeling everything so deeply now is because you've arrived in your spirit before anything changed around you. But it will. Because what shifts internally always manifests externally when heaven writes it. And your scroll, the one sealed in the unseen, is now open in the earth. The release is active. The weight has lifted. The path is clear. No more looking back. No more shrinking to fit old places. No more asking, is this really for me? The answer has already been written. Yes. Yes to healing. Yes to abundance. Yes to alignment. Yes to a peace that no longer needs to be earned. Yes to the love you've been giving returning to you multiplied. Yes to being seen not just for what you've survived, but for who you've always been. And now, as this final part closes, Michael places one sentence in the center of your soul: you didn't just survive the silence, you became the sound heaven responds to. Let it echo. Let it stay. Let it guide you. The message may fade from the screen, but it will never leave your spirit. Because this wasn't content. It was a calling. If you believe in God, type Amen or 444 or 555 or 000 111, subscribe for more videos.